Right now, after holding a rally in Prairie du Chien over the weekend, former President Trump planning to visit Dane County tomorrow. What that visit means for the area. Plus, a UW-Madison student could face disciplinary action from the university after their involvement in an encampment protest on the war in Gaza. And later, a new report calling Generation X the economy's struggling middle child, the financial squeeze it's facing that other generations are not. We welcome you to News 3 now at 6. Wisconsin continues to arguably be the battleground state. Recent polling showing a tight race between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. The Vice President making a stop in Madison a little over a week ago, and now former President Trump set to come to Dane County tomorrow. Our Jalen Banks joins us now with what this most recent visit could mean for a traditional blue stronghold. Jalen?
Eric, this is not only former President Trump's first time making a campaign stop in Dane County, but the first stop for any Republican presidential candidate since 1996. And with Wisconsin being a state that could decide the election, candidates are trying to find any edge they can. Despite being a blue stronghold in elections, Dane County draws in the third most Republican votes of any county in the state. And with Dane County's fast growth, the former president and his campaign are looking to pull in voters who don't usually cast their ballot.
Wanakee is a spot that's tailor-made for his message, especially, again, on the economy, on the working class, and getting a lot of these lower propensity voters out. So we hope that President Trump's visit is the catalyst for more in the last month of this election.
Maley anticipates the former president to speak heavily on the state of the economy and immigration.
To an extent, with this being a sanctuary county and Madison being a sanctuary city, that is something I think he will highlight. And then I think he's going to pivot to the economy. He's going to be at a manufacturing facility. He's going to talk about bringing manufacturing jobs to the state and to this country.
But Dane County Board Supervisor for Wanakee, David Beecher, hopes the former president's speech focuses more on policy and less on harsh rhetoric and conspiracies towards migrants.
Doing statements like that hurts those people trying to live in their community because a lot of false accusations come out of it. So it would be great to see President Trump come in and say that these conspiracies aren't true, these are great participants in our community, and that we can have a political discourse without those types of attacks.
In all, Beecher views the presidential visits as a privilege because it shows just how important the state is in the election.
Well, my initial thoughts are Wisconsin residents and Dane County residents are extremely fortunate to be able to have the national candidates really have to come through Wisconsin in order to win.
Former President Trump is scheduled to speak at Dane Manufacturing tomorrow at 1:30. We'll have team coverage of the visit. Eric?
Jalen, thank you. And second, gentleman Doug Emhoff will be in Milwaukee tomorrow. The vice president's husband will be in the city the same day that former President Trump is visiting. It's not clear where Mr. Emhoff will be campaigning or at what time. We do know, based on the Harris-Walz campaign email, that Emhoff plans to talk about the vice president's plans to create a, quote, opportunity economy. The only scheduled debate between the vice presidential nominees is also set for tomorrow night in New York City. The 90-minute matchup between Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Republican Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will air here on CBS. According to the network, unlike the presidential debates, the candidates' microphones will not be muted. There will be no opening statements, no studio audience. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and the other candidate will then have 2 minutes to respond. 1 minute will be allowed for additional rebuttals. An additional minute to continue a topic may be given at the moderator's discretion. That debate will be moderated by Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan of CBS, and it airs at 8 p.m. Central. The summer-like temperatures just don't want to leave. Let's check your first warn forecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington on the patio. Alex?
Eric, they certainly do not. I was just going to say it's a summer-like night in fall. And fall has been around for a better part of a week, and these temperatures are sticking around, and we have one fall-like day in the forecast. More on that in just a moment. All summer-like right now with our current conditions. 79 degrees, even that dew point. I was just messaging with a friend of mine saying, you know, it feels a little bit on the muggy side today. And it does. A dew point of 60 is right on that fence when you start to feel a little bit of moisture, and that's pooling out ahead of a cold front that's going to move through southern Wisconsin. But overall, just beautiful this evening. I plan to get a walk here after the 6 o'clock newscast. Jacob will be back here at 10 o'clock when it's still 68 degrees outside in Madison, but cooler to the northwest where that cold front's coming through. We'll see those temperatures tonight in the mid to upper 50s in the Madison area. lower 60s in Janesville, upper 40s up towards Camp Douglas as this cold front comes through the area, largely on the dry side. Now, our harvesting forecast, I know a lot of combines are out there getting the soybeans. Some folks are getting into the cornfields, and the temperatures and the winds here are also relevant for all of southern Wisconsin as we move through Tuesday. Temperatures staying in the 60s. Notice a couple yellow ears of corn. The winds will be gusty across all of southern Wisconsin. So that's how we read our harvesting forecast. Mid-60s for highs, gusty winds coming up in Maine weather. When do we get back into the 70s? How long do we stay in the 70s? And do we have any appreciable rain in sight at all in the forecast? I'll let you know in just a few minutes.
All right, Alex, thank you. We are checking in on a hearing this afternoon for one UW-Madison student as he could face disciplinary action from the university for alleged involvement in the spring encampment protest of the war in Gaza. Meryl Hubbard joins us now with more on that story.
Yeah, Eric, I'm back from campus where the university held Vignesh Ramachandran's hearing. He's accused of camping and picnicking during the encampment that took over Library Mall in the spring. Vignesh tells me he's, quote, flabbergasted at what he calls the investigators' lack of evidence. The main source of evidence the university investigator brought to the hearing is Vignesh's op-ed.
I want to be clear. I did not plan the encampment. I did not carry out the encampment. I was not camping. I was not picnicking. I did not refuse to comply or make a false statement. What I did do was write an op-ed on behalf of the Movement for Justice in Palestine on campus.
It's an opinion piece that was published on May 10th by the Cap Times. In the article, the authors use the words, "We have been camping on Library Mall."
That is what this case is about. What do those words mean?
The university investigator argues that this is the students' way of admitting they were camping and picnicking on university grounds, which is in violation of school policy.
I've pulled direct quotes from the article where the student is communicating they engaged in behavior that is a policy violation.
Vignesh argues differently. He says they use the words "we" and "our" to represent the Students for Justice in Palestine organization.
We use the words "we" and "our." The usage of these words was to describe our role as part of a movement for justice in Palestine, a movement that has been ongoing since the Nakba, or catastrophe that displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians.
He also questions if his op-ed is viable evidence because of his First Amendment rights.
Writing an op-ed, an expression of a person's opinion, an expression of their perspective, should be one of the most protected rights at a public state-funded university like UW-Madison.
No decision was made at the hearing, but the investigator says that if Vignesh is responsible, the punishment would be minimal.
It is the least punitive sanction that we issue. It does not in any way limit a student from doing anything that they could normally do as a student prior to it being issued or prior to the conduct.
Vignesh tells me the university will make their final decision within 14 days. Vignesh's co-author will have her hearing this Friday.
All right, Meryl, thank you. The campus protests across the country this spring also dominated Democratic politics. Thousands of Wisconsinites cast protest votes against President Biden in the springtime. So we asked Harris campaign surrogate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez whether that's an issue that still divides the party, Democrats, and something that could lead to lower Democratic turnout.
Across the country, how unified are Democrats? Are you worried that an issue like that might still be divisive for folks?
I do believe that Vice President Harris is very receptive and has very much been listening to what is going on and paying attention to what is going on and does not take young people for granted.
And she tells us those young voters will be a key group for Democrats in November. Quick Trip is announcing the addition of new fast charging stations to a number of its stores across the Midwest. The Quick Charge program will include connectors for both combined charging standards and the North American charging standard. Quick Trip will also include a standalone mobile app to enable guests to view charger availability, pricing, and where chargers are located along their routes. At least thousands of Verizon users spent much of the day without their cell phone service after a widespread outage. That outage reportedly impacted a large part of us here in the Midwest, along with major cities, including Atlanta, Chicago, Denver, LA, and New York. Many users said their cell phones were intermittently displaying the SOS mode, leaving them unable to place calls or send or receive text messages. Verizon posted on social media that it was aware of an issue impacting service and says it was working quickly to resolve it. Now, many locally are reporting service restoration within the last 90 minutes. New data is revealing that Generation X is facing a financial squeeze that other generations have not. According to Bank of America, many Gen Xers are finding themselves sandwiched, simultaneously caring for their children and also their parents. The data revealed the generation is spending more on average on housing, utilities, and insurance, and focusing more on saving as they near retirement.
Gen X accounts for over a third of US consumer spending. So the generation really punches above its weight in terms of its contribution to the US economy. The investment saving they're doing outside of retirement saving is about 40% higher than the other generations.
Economists say that great wealth transfer or inheritance could be a much-needed boost in the future and something to be counted on eventually, but current financial pressures on Gen X are likely to continue to dampen discretionary spending for now. Good news for Medicare patients coming up on News 3 Now at 6, while they'll soon be paying less for some of their prescription drugs. Plus, if you have student loans, listen up, the pandemic-era benefit that is ending, and it could impact your credit. We'll be right back.
Watching News 3 Now at 6, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices.
The best call I ever made was to Gruber Law Offices.
It was one call. They took care of me, and they'll be there for you. You made that one call, that's all.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
One call, that's all.
I'm a nurse in Wisconsin, and my patients don't want politicians like Eric Hovde making their healthcare decisions.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Hovde means what he says about opposing reproductive rights.
Eric Hovde supported overturning Roe v. Wade, which led to an abortion ban in Wisconsin.
And that's a ban with no exceptions for rape or incest.
What Hovde supports criminalizes abortion and doctors like me.
We need to vote against Eric Hovde.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Gas, groceries, school supplies, everything costs more. Eggs are almost twice as much as they were 4 years ago. Biden, Harris, and the Democrats keep telling us things are better. They aren't better. And Tammy Baldwin is making it worse, raising taxes, running up debt, voting for spending that's driving inflation. 25 years in Washington and she's done nothing. It's time for a change.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
As a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on investing right now in you, the American people. And we can chart a new way forward. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Madison residents will have big choices to make in November over the future of our schools.
We're talking about investing into our kids and into each other.
I'm breaking down the Madison school referendum questions, what they could mean for the district, and your tax bill. 3 for the People, Tuesday at 10.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back. Hundreds of thousands of Medicare patients across the U.S. will be seeing lower prices on dozens of prescription drugs. The Biden administration announcing today Medicare Part B enrollees will pay less for 54 prescription drugs. Many of those drugs are used to treat cancer, osteoporosis, pneumonia, and other conditions. The cuts are possible through a provision in the Inflation Reduction Act, making drug companies pay rebates if they raise Medicare prices faster than the rate of inflation. Patients will start seeing those price drops this week. A pandemic-era student loan benefit is ending this week. The one-year grace period for borrowers who miss a payment will no longer be in effect. Last year, student loan services were not reporting missed, late, or partial payments to the National Credit Bureau, but now they will notify the bureaus, which could impact credit scores. This change comes as the fate of a generous Biden administration student loan repayment plan is on hold as litigation plays out now. A hearing is scheduled for October 15th. A new report is detailing just how stalled the housing market is. According to an analysis by Redfin, just 2.5% of homes in the U.S. have been sold this year. That is the lowest turnover rate in at least 30 years. Some areas are suffering bigger slowdowns than others. Homes in suburban and rural areas are changing hands slightly more than those in urban areas. Economists are hoping the Federal Reserve's recent rate cut can revive the stagnant housing market. Still ahead, we take a look at the latest total from our Coats for Kids campaign. Plus, cleanup continues after Hurricane Helene left behind mass devastation in the southeastern part of the United States. This is rescue teams search isolated communities hit hardest by the storm. And temperatures will be cooler the rest of the week here compared to today. Well, how much cooler? Alex lets us know. His complete forecast coming up.
A suspected Venezuelan gang member who was arrested for domestic battery.
Violently attacked a woman physically and sexually.
The border crisis is real here in Wisconsin.
Criminal gangs harming our community.
We're stretched thin. Open borders and weak politicians are crushing us.
Rebecca Cook is one of them. She doesn't back law enforcement. She'll never secure the border. She doesn't even want to.
That's why we stand with Derek Van Orton. He has our back.
And I've got yours. I'm Derek Van Orton, and I approve this message.
I'm Joan Balwig, and these days the cost to make Great-Grandma Balwig's Blue Ribbon banana bread is, well, just nuts. Wisconsin families are feeling the pinch of inflation, even on the basics. That's why I work to put dough back in your pockets. Led the effort to defend our family farms and pass the biggest tax cut in state history, because the only way to make life affordable again is to do what banana bread does and bring everyone to the table.
Discover a level of comfort you never thought possible. Discover stressless seating at the Century House. Designed to harmonize with your body's natural movements, it's the premier destination for relaxation and rejuvenation. Right now, take 10% off all stressless recliners, sofas, tables, and ottomans. The Century House, 3420 University Avenue in Madison.
Right now, we're running our 60-60-60 sale, so when you purchase your new concrete coating, you get a $60 Visa gift card plus either 60% off installation or 60-month no-interest financing. This is one of our best deals of the year, so visit our website or call the number for your new floor today.
4 years ago, in this alley, rioters threw a brick at my face and knocked out my teeth. Why? Because I was a police officer. And what did Kamala Harris do? While America's cities were burning, Kamala was defending peaceful protest. She raised millions to help bail rioters out of jail and supported defunding our police, making us all less safe. Kamala Harris is dangerous.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you, with maintenance fee-free checking with no minimum balance requirements. So if your new house still has some old tenants, we'll make sure your checking account won't be giving you any surprises. You've got this with Associated Bank.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back. Helene will rank among the deadliest hurricanes to strike the U.S. mainland in the past 50 years. At least 119 people now have died across 6 states, with hundreds of people still unaccounted for. In western North Carolina, several communities still remain virtually isolated and cut off from life-sustaining supplies and medical care. Hundreds of roads remain closed, with damage on a scale that could take years to repair.
We don't know where we go from here. We don't know where everybody else goes from here. It's just really horrifying. It's sad because there's still people there that are really hard to get to.
Meanwhile, thousands of customers remain without power across the Southeast. A federal public health emergency has been formally declared in North Carolina, Florida, and Georgia. President Biden says his team will provide every available resource to impact communities as quickly as possible. And if you want to help people that Helene has impacted, you can make a donation to the Red Cross. You can do so at our website, channel3000.com. At the top of our homepage, there is a banner that you can click on to choose how much you'd like to donate. Well, we are in the final week now of the collection phase of our Coats for Kids campaign. News 3 Now, teaming up with Clinky Cleaners, the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, and Magic 98 to try to collect 5,000 coats. And so far, we've collected 1,720. You have until October 5th to donate. Just take any new or gently used coat, hat, mittens, snow pants, other winter outerwear to any Clinky Cleaners location. Well, if you don't have a winter coat, also consider buying one off the Coats for Kids Amazon wish list. You can look for that link as well at channel3000.com/Coats for Kids. We also have a link there if you'd rather simply send a financial donation instead. Warm today, but then the temperature will plummet later tonight. Let's check back in with Alex, his complete forecast.
Sure thing, Eric. Cold front is about ready to move into southern Wisconsin, and out ahead of it, we have temperatures cooling. What I mean by that, warm air sticking around southern Wisconsin, and just a touch of humidity out there at 6 o'clock, still near 80 degrees. This is 10 degrees above normal, well over 10 degrees, I should say, above normal for this time of year, with some areas areas in the Wisconsin River Valley still in the lower 80s. Janesville, you're hanging on to 81 degrees as well. 79 in Madison, 79 in Oregon, 80s still in Verona at 6 o'clock at night. Unprecedented warmth across the area. This is where we've seen our temperatures go. This has been a repeat here. We go in the 50s, we make it back up into the 80s. Now we'll plan the rest of our evening here. We should see those temperatures within the hour get down into the middle 70s, but that's still 7 degrees above our normal. 8 o'clock, 72. When you join Jacob tonight, 69 degrees. That's actually up a degree from our earlier newscast this evening. Here's that cold front. Not a whole lot with it, just a couple of clouds and maybe an isolated shower. The biggest part of this cold front is the colder temperatures and the winds that are going to come behind this front. As we move further into Tuesday, could see a few clouds pop up in the afternoon as that colder air funnels into southern Wisconsin. Also behind the cold front, out ahead of it, not really terribly gusty winds, but behind it, look at all that red. Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock. Some wind gusts, 32-mile-per-hour wind gust in Platteville, 28-mile-per-hour wind gust in the Dells, 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Dane County to start off Tuesday, and they go down just a little bit as we move through the rest of Tuesday. This is a map here of our temperatures and sky conditions for Tuesday. 60s, mid-60s. That's normal for this time of year, a day of normal temperatures in southern Wisconsin. Speaking of normals, we are above normal, about 2 inches of rain here in September, and that's because we got those lucky drops. Unfortunately, we had some severe weather a couple weekends ago, but that brings up our total for water about 10 inches, actually approaching 11 inches above normal for this time of year. And the extended, we could use some more of those drops out there because even though we got some rain 2 weekends ago, that doesn't erase a long period of very dry and warm weather. And more on that in just a moment. That tiny chance of a shower tonight, I think almost everybody's going to stay dry. Couple showers Thursday night as a cold front comes through Thursday night rather into Friday, and behind that, not terribly cold weather behind that frontal system as well. We stay in the 60s to near 70 degrees all the way through the 10-day period. And first to show you here, going way out into the middle of October, strong likelihood of very dry conditions sticking around Madison and points off towards really the entire eastern portion of the country. And then when you take a look at our temperature trend here over the course of the next couple of weeks, a warm pattern likely building in to southern Wisconsin once again by the middle of October.
And coming up in sports, it was an exciting beginning and end to this past weekend in Wisconsin sports football, but everything that happened in between for the Packers and Badgers, that's another story. We've got it next on News 3 Now.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
I remember coming home from school and pounding on the door, but my mother wouldn't answer. She'd be passed out inside. You know, my mother had a drug abuse problem. She struggled with addiction to prescription pills her whole life. But today with fentanyl, one pill, just one pill can kill. So I've worked with Republicans to stop the flow of fentanyl that's poisoning families across Wisconsin. I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message. This fight hits close to home.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
For 3 years in a row, Chevy has earned more J.D. Power Initial Quality Awards than any other brand.
1, 2, 3.
Whether it's a high-tech SUV, the all-electric Equinox EV, or a truck for work or play, Chevy is America's most awarded brand for new vehicle quality. Qualified lessees can get this well-equipped 2025 Equinox LT for around $349 a month. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
Brian Stiles said he's proud of his extreme record. So why is he lying about it?
Stiles said he was proud to be part of a group pushing to gut Social Security and Medicare, that he proudly supports abortion bans. And Brian Stiles said he's proud to be backed by extremists pushing a total ban nationwide. Peter Barca's backed by police, firefighters, and unions because Peter puts Wisconsin first, no matter the party, and that's something to be proud of.
I'm Peter Barca, and I approve this message.
Fall is just around the corner. Let the experts at Feldco get your home ready for the cooler temps ahead. Right now, buy one window, get one free, plus no interest for 3 years. It's the perfect time to make valuable upgrades to your home and save more money in the process. Our custom windows are built in the U.S. to the highest standards and made to withstand the harsh Midwest weather. Buy one, get one free ends Monday. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
It was a roller coaster weekend in sports for the state of Wisconsin. Let's start with the Badgers. After taking a 21-10 lead into half against USC, the Trojans scored 28 straight in the second half. The Badgers showed flashes on both sides of the ball, but started cracking in all phases when the rubber met the road. Luke Fickell says to be where they want to be, that's right where they need to start.
We keep talking about these winning habits. Well, the winning habits as a team is to be able to play complementary football, is to be able to play in all three phases, and all three phases have got to be able to contribute to winning. We're just not to the point right now where if we're not playing well defensively, well, it's okay because our offense is going to go out there and outscore them. If we're not playing well offensively, that's okay. Our defense will go out there and we'll shut them out. We're just not to that point.
And it was the exact opposite for the Packers. The Vikings came into Lambeau and started the game with 28 straight points, but it was Green Bay who made the near-killer comeback. But unlike the Trojans, the Packers fell short of their biggest comeback and what would have been their biggest comeback in franchise history.
I'm super proud of our guys' effort. Like, that is one thing. These guys battled. It's interesting when you're down 28-0, like how you're going to respond. And I think you saw the character of our locker room today. You know, we just got to clean some stuff up and take advantage of some opportunities that we didn't.
Today was, believe it or not, media day for the Milwaukee Bucks, and Damian Lillard started by reflecting on last season. He said that the year was a blur, getting traded 2 days before training camp. He called last season an incredibly hard time in his life. He said that he felt like he was just trying to get through the season. The superstar struggled for his standards in his first year with the Bucks, but says he feels primed to bounce back.
But I just feel way, way better coming into this year. You know, even leaving home and leaving my kids and coming back to Milwaukee, it was just easier for me this time, I think, because I just been able to prepare for everything to come, and also knowing that I'm right going into it. You know, it was just way, way easier. You know, I feel much better coming into it.
Tough weekend for Wisconsin football fans.
No doubt about it. Quick final check of the forecast.
If you want fall, tomorrow's your fall day this week. Colder Tuesday. Gusty winds, so that'll put that fall-like chill in there. Staying dry through our 10-day forecast. Really that only chance of showers Thursday. And staying warm.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll be back here tonight for News 3 Now at 10.